multi-digit multiplication with number chips. This is the football themed version, and this is a digital lesson. It starts with explaining to the students how to line up the numbers when they're multiplying. So they're going to line them up in the ones place, same way they do it when they're adding or subtracting. If one of the numbers has more digits than the other, then that number with the most digits will go in the top row. They're going to be multiplying from right to left. So they always start multiplying by, in the second number, the bottom row, the number in the ones place. So from right to left, 3 times 3, 3 times 2, and then 3 times 5. The next slide shows how that works. So 3 times 3 would be 9. They place their 9. 3 times 2, and this is actually 3 times 20 because 2's in the tens place. So their answer would be 60, so their 6 goes in the tens place also. So you want to explain that to the students. So from right to left, 3 times 3, 3 times 2, and 3 times 5 for a solution of 1,569. Students are going to start on slide 5. So these numbers, the problems start out fairly easy and they get more difficult as they go. They're going to move these number chips into the correct place to solve their multiplication. So every slide has every number that the students need. That reduces some of the frustration because students know they have to use each of the numbers. And as these problems get more difficult, if they get to the end and the numbers aren't working, they know they've made an error and they need to go back and check again. So to move the number chips, they just click and hold on the edge. Now here from right to left, 6, 4, and 2. And do the same thing with the other problem. 6, 9, and 15. Now, each one of these solutions is matched with a letter and a yellow heart. So on the very last slide, they're going to solve a football riddle by matching their answer to this letter that's in the yellow heart. They're going to do the same thing on the next slide. Then they're shown what to do if they get a 2-digit product. So when they're multiplying from left to right, 4 times 7 would be 28. They're going to keep the 8. They're going to carry the 2 to the next column and right above this number. That way when they multiply 4 times 4 is 16, they add that 2 that they carried and they get 18. They're going to keep the 8, they're going to carry the 1 to the next column to the left, right above this number. 4 times 6 is 24, plus 1 is 25. So they get a solution of 2,588. They're going to practice that starting on the next slide. So these smaller circles are going to be for the numbers they carry. So here 6 times 7 would be 42. They're going to keep the 2. They're going to carry the 4. 6 times 3 is 18, plus 4 is 22. They're going to keep the 2 and carry a 2. 6 times 2 is 12, plus 2 is 14. Keep the 4, carry the 1. 8 times 6 is 48, plus 1 is 49. They're going to do that same thing on the next slide. Then they're shown what to do if they have a 3-digit by a 2-digit. And so they're going to break up their multiplication into 2 different parts. They're going to first multiply 312 times 3. We'll get the solution here. And then 312 times 20 and get the solution here. Now, since they're multiplying by 20 in the second row, they have to always start on the right-hand side with a 0. Then they add the 2 products together to get their answer. So they're going to practice that on the next slide. And again, each product is going to be matched with a letter and a yellow heart. So they get a little bit more difficult as they go. Here's a 4-digit by 2-digit. They've got a couple of those. They've got a 4-digit by 3-digit. Now when they get to this one, they're going to be breaking their multiplication into 3 different parts. 2,762 times 5 in the first row, 2,762 times 40 in the second row. That means they have to start this row with a 0. And then 2,762 times 300. That means the third row, they have to start with 2 zeros. And this one's already done for them. And then they just have to fill in the rest of the numbers. And then they get one more to practice. When they get down to that last slide, they've got a riddle. They're going to go back to the previous slides. They're going to find each of these products. Some are duplicated. That means they've got the same letter. They're going to type in the letter that was in the yellow heart next to each of these products, and it should solve the riddle. So this is the football-themed version of multiplying multi-digit multiplication with number chips.